want you to be able to relax your body in your chair if you're sitting. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do that. I want you to allow your body to release any tension, stress, worry that you may have carried in today. Give yourself permission to allow distractions to leave your body and allow yourself, your mind, your body, and spirit to align in sacred peace.
My work can be very challenging. It can mean that I am adjacent to trauma all the time, which brings things into my own life. But what I absolutely appreciate is the sacredness of the work, and for someone to tell you her story, let you into her world a little bit, to give you some trust, and to build a new relationship with you while she's building her new life for herself. It's a joy to be really part of their journey and to see her find new joy and know that she always has had it as well.
In the beginning, we were so good. I thought I'd met my one true love. Then he wanted to start trying to have a baby. I wanted kids too, but I didn't think we were ready yet. So I kept taking my birth control. He was so angry when he found my pills that he threw them away.
Our marriage was never perfect, but he was my husband. I loved him, even though it was really hard sometimes. I wanted to stay a family. He was my kid's dad. He was so controlling, it was hard for me to get any time alone. He would call me at work all the time. He sometimes would show up there. It got so bad, I lost my job. He told me that I was crazy, that everything was my fault, and I started to think that maybe he was right.
It was a hard year. We had a lot of fights. He said horrible things. He was always putting me down. He said I was fat. He said I wasn't sexy anymore. He said I was lazy because I wasn't actually cooking, that I was just heating things up. Sometimes he threw his food in the garbage and went out. But he never laid his hands on me. And then COVID hit. And that made everything so much worse.
There are so many different pieces of abuse, and I think we have to understand what trauma is and how trauma affects people, not just in the moment, but ongoing.
He lost his job. I tried to support him, encourage him, but whatever I said only made him madder. One day he came home after being gone all day, supposedly on an interview. I asked him how it went, and he just shoved me. I fell back and hit my head so hard. I was crying. He didn't even help me up. He just left me there, slamming the door behind him. That's how it began. He got more violent after that. As COVID wore on, he was home more, and we had more fights. He would punch me and kick me and shove me. Sometimes he wanted to have sex, and if I was reluctant, he'd force me.
Sometimes I would just go into the bathroom, run the shower, sit on the toilet, and cry. And that's what happened when I was just sitting there. But he barged in on me, started accusing me of crazy things, that I was cheating on him, that I lied to him, turned his son against him. I got up to try to leave the bathroom, but he blocked the door, and that's when he started choking me. I couldn't breathe, and I thought, I'm gonna die right here. Noah was crying, and all I was thinking was, what would happen to him if I died? Who would take care of him? Who would protect him? I lost consciousness, so I guess that's why he stopped.
Sometimes we get women that come in, they're so beat down, their self-esteem is so low, and they are at a point of despair.
After a while, I couldn't even think straight anymore. I felt like I was going crazy. I was anxious all the time. So I began calling shelters, but every place was full. I had nowhere to go. It was so discouraging. Weekends were always worse because he drank more. So one Friday, I called Women's Advocates again. The advocate said that the shelter was full, but that I should call back in a couple of hours. When I called back, a room had opened up. I was ready. I was at their door that afternoon.
I didn't want to give him another chance. Later, when he was watching the game on TV, I found Women's Advocates online and live chatted with an advocate who helped me make a safety plan. Even just doing that felt empowering. It felt like taking the first step to a safer life for me and my kid. When a spot opened up at Women's Advocates, I was ready to make my move. The first time I walked into the door, it was like the first time I felt safe in years.
Trauma sits in our bodies. It sits in our muscles, in our nervous system. It also sits in our senses and sensations in our body. So what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, what we touch. And when trauma is triggered, it comes through those 5 senses and sensations in our body. The sensations could be anxiety, it could be sadness, it could be pain.
There is mental health, there's physical health. And I think sometimes we believe that once we get them out of there, it's a good feeling, it's a great feeling, and we're glad that they're safe. But we have to remember that the crisis does not end when survivors come into shelter.
When I think of healing for victims, survivors, I think of self-awareness and inner peace. Mindfulness skills allows women, victims, survivors to understand their internal selves clearer. Mindfulness skills such as breathing helps to calm the mind. The process starts with talk therapy, journaling, and self-care. Healing starts from within.
I had thought that staying in that relationship was best for my kid, but it wasn't. In the end, it was for my kid that I left. I didn't want him seeing me get beat up or seeing that kind of violence at home. I didn't want him to think that was normal.
My advocate was with me every step of the way, listening to me and helping me to sort through what I wanted for myself. They helped me get out of my lease and start looking for a safe place to live.
To me, what it means to walk alongside a survivor is, I use myself as an example of being a survivor of domestic violence, is that I had a mentor. I had someone that when I left the shelter was able to stay in in touch with me. She was my cheerleader.
If I hadn't found women's advocates, I don't know where I would have gone or if I would even be here. It is an amazing, life-saving place. I was able to express my struggles freely without being judged and get the help and resources I needed to make a new life for me and my son.
They are amazing survivors, and I just applaud them. We don't brag about what we do. We don't boast about what we do. We boast about the women that we serve and the children that we serve and those who move forward into what they actually want to do with their lives.
Deep breath. You are in a healing space of care, of wellness, and of sacred energy. As you continue in your day, remember, this is a day you never saw before. It's a new beginning. We're gonna take a few more breaths, and then I'll count to 3, and we'll open our eyes.
How beautiful to hear both from the healers and those who are in the healing process about the great work Women's Advocates is doing. I am so inspired by the healing journey Saran and our other advocates take every day with those who have overcome so much to find solace and healing at Women's Advocates. If you've followed this video series over the past 2 weeks, you can see the deep commitment Women's Advocates has to preventing domestic violence in our community and beyond, offering safe, healing shelter for those leaving dangerous relationships, and providing a pathway to safety and stable housing after shelter. This is vital, important work, and it can only move forward with the support of donors like you. If you believe that victims of domestic violence and their children deserve bright, stable futures, donate today. If you believe that women and children seeking help need to have lifelines like Women's Advocates in the community, click the button to donate right now. Our goal for this Domestic Violence Awareness Month is $100,000. Your donation makes healing happen. Thank you for your support of Women's Advocates.